Hello, everybody. This is Neil with Portal to Ascension. Just checking to make sure we are live. Hope you all doing well today. Just want to make sure everything is flowing. Yep, we are live. Hello, beautiful people. Again, Neil with Portal to Ascension. So good to be here with you all. And I am excited for today's broadcast. So I'm just going to take a moment here because I kind of was rushing around just to get into this, into the flow, because I was organizing videos and images of Egypt right up until the moment that we went live. I kind of want to. The purpose for this stream today, as you guys know, and a lot of you have checked out the email as well, is that I just got back from Egypt just about around 9 days ago now, and I felt the energy that I really wanted to go live and just express how the situation was, how Egypt was, what kind of downloads was received there, new information I received. And I'm kind of choked up for words, actually. And I really didn't know how I was going to do this broadcast because I'm still integrating the experiences that occurred when I was in Egypt. Not only did I learn a lot, and I was in this country for 25 days, just experiencing, connecting, facilitating, but at the same time, a lot of challenges for myself personally came to the surface. So I want to start out here just by taking a few breaths just to center myself. And so I'd love for whoever's tuning in here to join in. And let's just begin that way. So if you want to follow me, let's just all take a deep breath in through the nose. Let it go. Deep breath in again. And exhale. One more time. All right, beautiful. So I want to welcome everybody tuning in here, and I want to say hello to everybody on the podcast, the Portal to Ascension podcast. The way we're going to flow with this today is I want to first make a couple announcements of some things that are coming up, and then we're going to get into Egypt. And I have a guest appearance coming with Portal to Ascension. With Alan Steinfeld, a part of Portal to Ascension. Alan is on his way to my apartment right now. I'm here in London at my apartment here for another couple of months, and he'll be here in around 15 minutes. So what I want to do is, because I have a video as well from William Henry on the Dendara light bulb, and that was, interestingly enough, out of both tours, something came up on the day of the Dendara light bulb visitation, which was also the Temple of Hathor, I believe, where I never got to go. So, which is someplace I really wanted to go, but I never got to actually experience it on both of the tours we just facilitated in Egypt. And for those of you who don't know, what I'm talking about is the fact that Alan, myself, and Joan just facilitated 2 tours back to back in Egypt. The first one was September 6th, and then the second one was September 19th. The first group, we had 86 people, and then on the second one was 100 people. We pretty much did the same tour over again twice, except we had one extra day on the second tour. So I want to show you the website here for the tour to kind of let you know what was experienced. And we do have the tickets up for next year already. Next year, we're going to be going November 11th to 24th, and we've extended the tour by like 3 or 4 days, something like that. And the reason for this is it was so jam-packed, guys. And I know some people who are part of the tour are in the chat right now. You guys can speak on it. And I feel we'll have another call where we can have people from the tour actually speak about their experiences, because there was a wide range of experiences that we've all had. And I'd love to just like really tune in to kind of have integration for the people on the tour. And it was really jam-packed. It was long days, early mornings, some relaxed days as well. But the amount of information, downloads, and the energy that we were receiving was so intense that after we were done with these tours, we decided that, hey, we need to make these tours a little longer so that we have more integration time. And here is the tour for next year, November 11th to 24th, 2024. And you can go down here right now. We still have the itinerary for this year. So you can take a look at the itinerary of what we did and where we went. You can see the next tour is in 397 days. And we're going to be adding more days to that and changing some places up as well. making it that we can go visit some places that we wanted to go to but didn't get to, and then other places where we want to drop into the energy more that we didn't really get to do on this time. And one of those places I would say is the Isis Temple. And one more announcement here. And as I'm going over to my website, I just want to say hello to everybody on the Portal to Ascension podcast. For you guys who are tuning in on YouTube right now, we also have a podcast, Portal to Ascension Radio. It's on all platforms, pretty much, Spotify, Amazon, and many more. And you can tune in there to a lot of our recordings, audio recordings. And for those on the podcast, I highly recommend jumping over to watch the YouTube video at some point, because on this video, we're going to actually have images and videos playing, and it will be much more of a dynamic experience for you if you can come actually check it out and watch it. So the last thing I want to tell you guys about before we get into speaking on Egypt here is we have a lot of events coming up, of course, but one that I'm really excited about, and this kind of connects to my experience in the King's Chamber. So I'm going to talk to you about what happened to me in the King's Chamber on I think it was day one, we went to the King's Chamber on the first tour, where the red dragons came through to me, and I saw, actually not too dissimilar from this dragon right here, which is my cousin in the dragon realm called Kumbala, that came to me through the top of the pyramid, and I'll tell you the rest when we get to it. But we're doing a Cosmic Dragons conference. We're doing a whole event in reverence to the dragons, and it's picking up a lot of traction. A lot of people are really into this topic, and the dragons are making an appearance right now. They've always been here, but they're making an appearance that's unprecedented, and the reason why is because their energy is extremely important for what is happening in the next evolution of human consciousness. And so if you're interested in this conference here, it's November 4th. It's an all-day event, the Cosmic Dragons Conference, and it was picking up so much traction. It's doing so well that I've decided to do it every year until it's no longer needed anymore. So we're going to be doing it next year again with other people, and you can check out our events at portaltoascension.org. All right, so I'm just going to jump over the chat here because I saw that April is chatting in the room, and she was also part of the tour. April says, Egypt was everything. It tried to keep us all there in via dream state for a long time. We're still there multidimensionally. All right, so this is how I'm going to start. Guys, I'm so sorry if I'm choked up for words and don't know what to say at certain points. I got to be honest with you. Ever since I got back from Egypt, my life has been turned upside down. Portal to Ascension business is transforming. People have left my organization. Friendships have changed and shifted. Traumas have come to the surface to be dealt with. I'm in such a raw and vulnerable state right now. Up until the moment I came live, I thought about not coming live. You know, it's been really intense. And Egypt had a lot to do with bringing a lot of things to the surface. So being in Egypt for that long and facilitating 2 tours back to back for that many people was a huge test of presence. Having to be available, interacting with people all the time and answering, working on the linear realms in order to make sure all the logistics and everything is happening as they should, doing announcements, and then also receiving the energy of the places that we're going to. Right? The reason why I'm there is not just to give, but also to receive equally. My intention when I went there was to receive as much as I give, right? And I wanted to get the downloads that I'm looking for in my life, the remembrance that I'm looking for in my life, so that I can move forward with everything I do at Portal to Ascension with more clarity and a sense of knowing. And I did receive that. But what it seemed also happened is, that the energy of Egypt, for me, showed me and amplified all the amazing things that I want to cultivate in my life, relationship-wise, friendship-wise, business-wise, right? And then it also amplified all the things that I'm attempting to release, anxiety, insecurities, confidence levels, a lot of different things, both amplified. So much so symbolic, so synchronistic that it was too symbolic to escape me. I had to really realize that something magical was going on here. And just being there for that whole time, I would say Alan and Joan probably can attest to those kind of experiences happening for them as well, which is why it's been taking me some time to integrate. So I want to welcome you guys. This kind of was a bait and switch. You are not here for Egypt. You're here for my therapy session. So, so this is kind of like me talking it out as we're doing this, just to kind of integrate the whole thing. As soon as I got back from Egypt, my parents came from the US, and they were here for a week with me, and they just left a day ago. So for the last 2.5 months, I haven't been on my own. I've been with people all day, every single day, without a break. And it really took me to a point where energetically I just needed to disconnect, and a lot of other things in my life started morphing and even collapsing, in order for me to realize that I need to take some more time for myself. So that's where I'm at. And I'm not saying this in any victim way. I'm saying it in a way that is therapeutic, if you will, that I'm realizing that I really need to focus on myself and take some time to integrate all the lessons that have come, rather than being on the go all the time, right? I don't know if any of you can relate to that, but I've been on the go so much for the last year leading up to Egypt. I have been waiting until October 1st, which was just a few days ago, for the whole year, because of all the events that we were doing. San Diego conference, Glastonbury conference, Crystal Skulls conference, 100 events online, Egypt, right? Waiting for this moment to have some sort of stillness, but instead, a lot of things started coming to the surface because I never took the time for myself during all of that, right? And that is the lesson that I got from this experience, plus a lot more. Okay, so let's get into it. All right, I took some notes here, and what I want to start with is I want to speak on the Ankh. We're going to do, this is extremely impromptu. I'm going to show you videos, I'll show you images. Alan's going to come, he's going to show you a video of orbs in Hathor's temple flying all over the place. And then we're going to speak about our experiences together. And I'm also going to play a video from William Henry. The way I want to start this out is with the Ankh. And I'm going to go ahead and share a screen here for an article that I wrote on my website, and we're going to just get into the information about the Ankh here, because I have always, as long as I've been into Egyptian awareness, been extremely interested in the Ankh. And I knew it was this huge symbol in ancient Egypt, of course, right? And I knew it was commonly used, but even from my awareness and the research I have done on it, I did not expect to see so many Ankhs everywhere, that many Ankhs. It was almost like no matter what set of hieroglyphics you took, there would at least be one Ankh there, if not many, many more. And even though I was already curious, that piqued my curiosity even more. Like, what is this? I have my speculations. I was, and I'm going to go over some of these right now, of the beliefs that I have and others about what this could be. But their usage of it is so common that it just leads to question, like, what else? What else were they referring to here? And was this some ancient device, some ancient tool? And if it was an ancient tool, like a machine or technology, where is it now? Because if we find Ankhs and if we find archaeological digs or archaeological findings of Ankhs, they're basically like crystal Ankhs, stone Ankhs, basically an artistic representation from the ancient Egypt of the Ankh, not exactly a technology. But if we look at the hieroglyphs, we see these Ankhs used in a way that it seems like they're using it as some sort of technology, whether to activate the person's consciousness, whether to symbolize some sort of meaning, rebirth or fertility, but they were using it in a certain way. And these depictions, archaeological findings that we've been discovering, does not really look like the technology that we're seeing on the hieroglyphs. So my question is, could these Ankhs that we see over the last like 6,000 years that we found in archaeological digs be artistic representations of an actual technology that was older than that? And that technology was lost or no longer in use as we fell into lower ages of consciousness. And I'll show you the cycles of consciousness map in a moment. And as that was happening, did these ancient Egyptians create statues and artifacts to represent a technology that was long gone, right? So here are some. I'm gonna read this to you here, and then I'm gonna show you some images of ankhs that we took while we're in Egypt. And honestly, after I left, I was like, I should have just made a project on taking pictures of every ankh, and I didn't. So when we go next year, November, I'm going to do that and take as many ankh pictures as I can with the context of what's around it, and then utilize one of our colleagues to translate those specific areas where the ankh is. So here are some possible. We have we have 8 possible meanings um, for what the ankh is, and some of these could actually be um, multiple meanings. I think all of these are probably the case. So we have the first one, symbol of life and immortality. The most common and fundamental meaning of the ankh was a symbol of life and immortality. It represented the concept of eternal life and the continuation of existence after death. Fertility. The loop at the top of the ankh is often interpreted as the symbol of a womb and fertility. And also, I want to add to that the balance of the divine masculine and feminine, right? The masculine and feminine energies. We have the phallic symbol, which is the straight line, the lower part of the ankh, and we have the circle on the top, which is the feminine, which also represents the womb, the masculine and the feminine. What other symbol kind of looks similar to the ankh? The Christian cross, right? Christian cross, all straight lines, is a representation of just the masculine energy. So the reason why I feel that it is a representation of the balance of the two is because from my research pre going to Egypt and then going to Egypt, it seemed like these individuals and this group was firing at both levels of consciousness on their right and left hemisphere of their brains, the masculine side and the feminine side, at the same level, to the point that they were able to convey beautiful quantum physics, science, um, distances between stars and planets, the angle of the tilt of the Earth's crust, amazing linear sciences, masculine linearity, in the most metaphoric, creative, artistic ways, right? Which is the feminine, okay? Artistic intuition, creativity, linearity, mathematics, science, masculine and feminine. They had such a great combination of the two that they used artwork to explain these things and embedded all of this information in codes in their own hieroglyphics and images, so that if we ever get to a point that Earth is reset once again, or information and technology is lost to time, that all the information there in ancient Egypt is right there hidden in plain sight for us to decipher and decode so that we can rebuild society. However, we need to be at a certain level of intellect to even be able to decipher that information. And that is where we are right now. So an amulet and a protective symbol, also designed for, and this is in the lower consciousness ages, basically how the all-seeing eye became a symbol as well of protection. So it became a symbol of protection. And then a key to the underworld, which I thought was interesting. The ankh was seen as a key that could unlock doors to the afterlife. It was often depicted in the hands of deities who were responsible for guiding the souls of the deceased through the underworld. Symbol of regeneration. It was also associated with the idea of regeneration and renewal. It was used in rituals and religions, ceremonies that aim to ensure the cyclical cycle of rebirth and connection to deities. And you'll see right now that a lot of the deities are holding the ankhs, right? So the ankh was sometimes held by gods and goddesses in depictions and was associated with specific deities. For example, Osiris, we often see Osiris with an ankh, which is the god of afterlife, going into the whole understanding that was the ankh also a key to the afterlife. Hieroglyphic sign, of course, we know that one, and which means life or living, for the actual symbol of the ankh in a lot of these hieroglyphs represented life or living. And then the last one here, which was the ultimate technology that it could have originally been, is a tuning fork. The ankh could have been a vibrational device that over time, as we devolved in consciousness, became symbolic, but was originally a technology. there is information out there, and Drumble Melchizedek also speaks on this, to that that alludes to the reality or the possibility, let's say, that the ancient Egyptians were into something called sex magic. It's basically the precursor of Tantra, able to utilize and harness the sexual energy in order to create different dimensions, speak to specific beings. The tuning fork seemed in some cases, maybe, or many cases, to be utilized in this ritual, where it was able to harness the frequency and the energy that was created and assist in circulating the energy around your body, some sort of tuning fork. When Pythagoras, we're going to get to Pythagoras and the Assyrian in a little bit here. When Pythagoras went to Egypt and spent, the early 20 years of his life in Egypt, he was one of the individuals, or he was the individual that coalesced a lot of ancient information from around the world, including Egypt, that eventually led to him creating the Pythagorean scale, which became the premise of the Western music scale. The Western music scale was then utilized in what we now know as a chakra tuning fork set and the chakra sounds, the different sounds there. So this information that Pythagoras actually received, and you can see this on my presentation on Portal to Ascension on Pythagoras' life, Pythagoras actually received those frequencies for the Pythagorean scale by looking at the harmonics of the Great Pyramid. And it could have been that he actually went and resurrect this information, and then in our future, which is now, we now have tuning forks and different types of musical sets that are emanating the chakra sounds that the Ankh possibly could have been doing back in the day as well. Hopefully that makes sense. I think I kind of rambled on with that one for a little second, but you look at my presentation on that, and I also have a presentation on Egypt. If you type in Egypt on youtube.com/portal to ascension, you'll see a whole section on the tuning fork and the Ankh, and how it's also a symbol of primordial deities. Every single letter in the Ankh represents a different deity. We have, let's see if I can actually pull that up. We have the A, N, K, H. Every one of those sounds, A, N, K, H, represents a different god. When we have the A, that represents Amun-Ra. We have the N, that represents N, which is Nunet. Give me a second, let me pull it up so I can show you exactly what I'm talking about here. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. So this is just to go deeper into how symbolic everything is in ancient Egypt, and how nothing was done unintentionally. Even the word Ankh represented each different deity. We have A, Amen, Amen-Ra. A equals what is hidden, the hidden world. Okay, and what Ankh originally in ancient Egypt was only NKH. No, the A was silent, because the A represented what is hidden, and vowels were not used in ancient Egypt. We have N, which is Nun or Nanet, which represents the wave, the watery abyss. We have K, which is Kek or Kehet, which is darkness, the god of darkness. And we have H, which is He or Hehet, the ruler of infinity. So this was the most ancient symbol of a code of sounds and primordial deities. And then you can see here, NKH was the first one. So basically it represents a wave, which is N, traveling at the infinite speed of time and time, which is H, separating darkness, which is the K, equals a hidden Amen. So it's like backwards. NKH equals the A. All three of those sounds, NKH, put together equals the world that is hidden, which is our planet. So it was even more symbolic on that level. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you guys now some images of the Ankh. we'll just take a look here and just kind of receive it. This is more than information. This is to receive the codes of the images and what is still there. As we were walking through these, a lot of us was receiving downloads. Some of us were receiving past life memories. And when I was in the Sarion, which is a place that I realize now that I have a lot of connection to, and also the Karnak temple, when I was meditating there, I had an awareness and remembrance of my past lives in that area. You can see the Ankh is right here. Another Ankh right here. This is the boat that carries the pharaoh to the afterlife. This symbol, this star right here, literally represents a star. For Ankh here, 2 Ankhs. Also, the other thing that I didn't say in the article was the Ankhs, something that I wasn't aware of until we spent time with Muhammad during our tour, who was our tour guide, is that a lot of times the Ankhs represent multiple lives, a different life. So regeneration, rejuvenation, but also a regeneration into a new life. So sometimes you might see a god or a deity, and you'll see multiple Ankhs, which actually could represent the multiple lives and incarnations of that individual. See little Ankhs everywhere here. Another star. Stars symbolizing space. It's almost like they couldn't write anything without throwing an Ankh in there. This one right here is interesting to me. This one we saw a lot. I'm sure Muhammad knows what it means. And check out this one right here too. This kind of looks like a DNA spiral. Right here on the side, all the way to the left. Here we go again. Ankh right here on the top. Another one over here. It's one thing to watch these images, but when you're just there walking through this, touching the stones. This one I liked a lot. Check out this one right here. Head is missing, holding 2 big Ankhs. It's a little close up. Okay, this is my friend Eugenia on the second tour. So this one I really loved, and so I've been having an issue uploading all the images to my computer, so I don't have everything. So when we do another call, hopefully by then I'll have it all. I'll put it in the PowerPoint, and we'll do a whole flow of different places. But this one was at a place called the 7 Gates, and there are 7 Ankhs. And the 7 Gates was an interesting one in itself too. Let me see if I can find the 7 Gates for you guys online. I really want to show it to you. The 7, actually, I might have it in my images. 7 gates. Yeah, the 7 gates is to be disclosed next time. But there was this area in the back of one of the temples that had a gate with a gate within a gate within a gate within the gate 7 times. And we see the number 7 utilized quite often throughout all of Egypt and many ancient cultures too. So that was another thing that also hit home. I knew that the Egyptians had, a fascination with the number 7, but seeing how much it was utilized all over Egypt, and then wondering, like I couldn't help but wonder, are these 7 a representation of the 7 chakras, 7 dimensions, or is it a representation of the 7 stars of the Pleiades constellation? Because in many ancient cultures, including Greece, when we see the number 7, it usually connects to the 7 sisters of the Pleiades, or is it a combination of all of them? So now we're gonna move over to the Giza Plateau, and here are some images here, and also a few videos of us outside the plateau, outside the pyramid. That's Alan and myself. Okay, next one is going to be a video. So let's play the audio here.
Frequency, okay. Because we are moving forward at the same amount as you in our.
So this here, guys, is Muhammad. He was our tour guide, part of Sabatours, the founder of Sabatours.
Of half a meter to have, as it were, that you could see, do infrared photography at concave aspect. So the pyramids were obviously used for not only an energy gathering but energy transmission. Very important aspect of the massive engineering projects that were underway, suggesting
I would say my favorite places that I visited was Karnak Temple, Luxor Temple, Assyrian, and the Sphinx. All places because I've spent a lot of time researching all of those places, and just being at the Sphinx was just so beautiful. I think I have a video of us inside the paws of the Sphinx. We had a private access there. We did a meditation. This is inside the. This was inside the Great Pyramid. That's us inside right after the meditation. So there will be a part 2 of this because there's a lot of videos that I don't have here of us describing things, the meditations, things like that. So we'll do a part 2 and we'll make it longer. And I think bring on some people that were part of the tour, kind of have a roundtable discussion on it. So this was the view from our hotel, the Mena House, that we spent the first few days in, which is a beautiful place, right at the foot of the pyramids. And we will be there next year. If you guys want to join us, egyptascensionretreat.com. Not going to really go into the information about the Sphinx and the different areas. I'm just going to we're just kind of doing a show and tell here today. If you want to learn more about the erosion around the Sphinx and the redating of the Sphinx, how it aligned with the constellation of Leo, how it's at least 13,000 years old, you can go to portaltoascension.org and just type in Egypt in the search bar once you log in. A lot of videos there. And actually on this YouTube channel, the guy himself that is responsible for dating the Sphinx to these dates, we've done multiple events with. So if you go to our YouTube channel page and just type in Robert Schock, there's about 3 different presentations there. And in each of those presentations, there's a good section specifically dedicated to information on the dating of the Sphinx. I'm going to show you, we're going to do the Hathor Temple in a bit, but I want Alan to be here for that because he wants to speak on it. So moving over now to the Luxor Temple. So this one was huge for me. Words can't even begin to explain the megalithic-ness of this place. Okay, I'm going to leave this here for you for a second because Alan just got here, so I'm going to open the door for him. As I was walking through this place, as soon as we walked in there, I felt I'd been here before. This was the first remembrance I had out of any place that I was walking through Egypt. I knew I'd been there, and it was an emotional experience for me. And then as we walking around the pyramid, the temple, Muhammad starts talking about the dating of this structure, and he starts giving out possible dates. And then one of the dates he gives is all the way back to 200,000 years ago. And this started making me wonder. We're speaking about these structures as if they were in the last, 12,000 to 35,000 years ago. But if there's been multiple cycles of consciousness, multiple rises and falls in consciousness, could it be that some of these places existed in other cycles? So I really felt a huge connection. There was one part that we went to, which was the area that Muhammad called the cloning wall. And Alan has just joined me here today, right now. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him on and we can speak about that. So
yeah,
let's bring you on, Alan. Hold on. There we go.
Well, here we are, Neil, a long way from Egypt. And it's great to be here, and just ran from the subway, so I didn't want to miss your broadcast.
Good to see you.
It was a great adventure. And I think being immersed in these old temples remind us of who we are. We are the ones that are part of that early construction. Now we've come back to kind of be activated by that. That's what's so beautiful about visiting ancient Egypt.
Exactly.
Because it felt so familiar. Did it feel familiar to you?
Yeah. And there were certain places that felt really familiar and other ones that didn't feel that connection to.
Right. Like the Temple of Isis for me felt really like, I also made a film about the Temple of Isis when I was here 20 something years ago. So
how was it like revisiting that?
It was great because I spent so much time making that film. You could see it on Isis Initiation on my YouTube channel. And I spent so much time looking at that, and I hadn't been there in so many years, decades, that when I was back, it's like, I never left. That's what it's like when you're in the King's Chamber, a lot of it, but you were just talking about the wall.
In Luxor.
Yeah,
you were there for the talk, right?
I was. Talk about, remind me what it was said.
So we went through the main area of Luxor, and basically I just showed you guys let's go back to those images here.
Yeah.
So in between these walls is basically a pathway, right?
Yeah.
We went down there and we go inside the temple a little more, and it's almost like it was hidden,
Yeah.
behind one of the walls. Muhammad takes us and says, this is the cloning wall. And it was a process of basically a pharaoh or individual. And in every single screen on that wall, there was a different process of the cloning. And then at the end of it, it was two exact beings representing a cloning of one adult human into another adult human. What do you think of that?
Well, I got a lot of orbs, if I can find it. I got
At that place?
At that place. I got orbs filling the screen. I don't know if I could find it. What day was that? I mean, sometime in September, but there was a presence there. There was beings there. There was something there. But
Well, he said that he thinks that it dated back to 200,000 years. What's your thought on that?
Well, there's two civilizations overlap there in Egypt. There's the ones that built the megalithic, just stones, no hieroglyphics, and that must be 20,000 years. That was lost to the ancient Egyptians. It was ancient to the ancient Egyptians. And there's dynastic Egypt, which started the hieroglyphics and these statues that are not, they're more pieced together. But the megalithic structures are really old.
This is a megalithic structure.
Is that one piece of stone?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the one piece of stone that are carved.
Luxor was one of the most megalithics. It's just like you could feel the grandioseness just by being there.
Well, it was fantastic. And these do go back probably before the flood, I would say, before the pre-Diluvian age.
Well, I thought it was interesting he said 200,000 because that is in alignment with the Homo sapien coming online around 200 to 250,000 years ago.
Right. When they got an upgrade to build civilization, really.
Right, exactly.
Genetic upgrade. So there could be, this could be also, the upgrade was ET based. So these could be actually holdovers from ET civilizations that were there to remind us of who we were.
Did you feel any past life remembrance come back while you're there?
When I was in the King's Chamber, I felt like, I've always been here. This is my home. I felt like it was like my living room, and I spent probably 10 hours in there on this trip.
Oh yeah.
And and it just,
you look like you fit right in.
I felt like, I know this place. I mean, I had been there before, but every time I'm there, it's something really clean, electric. And then we did a special session at the Sanctuary of Sekhmet. Now, this is a statue of Sekhmet that's never been moved in 5,000 or maybe longer years. And there's an emanation off the statue. A lot of people channel in here. A lot of people touch the statue. A few people were just breaking down and crying by looking into the eyes of the Sekhmet lioness being. And these may be from a lioness planet, or they might just be infused with so many prayers and so much Shakti that it emanates a kind of life force.
Right. And I don't know if you saw, but on the way into this temple, another image I don't have on my computer yet, so round two, we'll get to this, was actually, taking a step back, Saba tours Muhammad, who was our tour guide. Saba is actually an ancient Egyptian word for stargate, stargate. And his logo is actually the hieroglyphs that represent Stargate. When you go into the Sekhmet temple, in the bottom right-hand corner is the Stargate.
I didn't see that. Really?
Yeah.
Well, some people had incredible breakthroughs in that temple in particular. It's locked under two gates, There's like the outer lock, and then you have to open the sanctuary to this inner lock, and there's this statue emanating. At the right time of day, they open the top of the roof and the light beam just comes right down on the statue. It's a little later than in the day than when this picture was taken, but
it's a time out of time stepping in there. You can feel how ancient this place is, and you can feel that a lot of people have come here to pay homage.
Yes, to pay homage, because
it's still happening.
These are vehicles of consciousness. I mean, they're statues and they don't have any power unless we tune into that power. But I mean, they are here as reminders and I guess relics of a past that give us an energetic upgrade. So I would say a lot of people, their best experiences, most profound ones, was Isis and Sekhmet temple. The Isis, for me too. The Isis temple, the King's Pyramid, Hathor. Didn't feel quite as home, but there's our friend Joan. This is the sanctuary.
Tell everybody about what happened here.
Well, I said to the women, why don't the women come in first and do a little ceremony, and then the men will enter. And now this is the Holy of Holies. This is the inner sanctuary of the Isis Philae temple. So there's an outer courtyard where the men were, and then the women came in and put their sacred objects on the altar, which is actually not allowed to do, but we had private access. So, and then they went into this space, I don't know, and then the men came in, but there was some very deep access to the divine feminine with these women, and the men came in and they surrounded it and kind of tuned into that level of Shakti that was being generated there. So it was a beautiful witnessing. I took this picture. There's Pam and my friend Saraswati, and these little white things are orbs that were flying around them. And there's a whole video of those orbs. Well, let's release those video of orbs. There's Joan in front of the Isis.
That's a great picture.
That is a great picture. She was really channeling the Isis. She was. And she brought it in, she brought that energy into that ceremony.
Oh yeah, she embodied it that day.
And it was beautiful. And there's a little statue, and this is the outside. Yeah, that was a beautiful moment. And seeing those women gathered in there, actually accessing that divine feminine
right
was a real highlight.
Yeah, and when we were at Manchester with Mohammed a month ago, Mohammed did a presentation on the healing properties of Egypt, and his theory that I would say in my mind is fact is that a lot of these structures had different energies emanating from them that were designed for different types of healing, right? Activations, healing, whatever. And the Isis temple, he said, based on the type of stone that was used, based on the location that it was, every single component that went into it, again, with the intentionality of ancient Egyptians, was emanating a frequency to help with fertility, for womb healing, that feminine frequency. And then the Isis temple was moved. Which disrupted the frequency of that original intent.
It did. But when I was there in 91 with Shield and Sharula, we intended to move the energy from the old temple to the new temple. I don't know if that worked, but it definitely is empowered, that space. And that is the inner sanctuary with the altar that's still there. And a friend of mine, Gail Mack, stood behind that altar and started just channel through Isis. I think that was the first time. And she brought in that energy. Let me see if I can send some videos of that Isis energy in there.
And then while we were there this time again, we did the same thing, moving the energy over, aligning it with new frequencies. But it was interesting. I mentioned to someone while we're there that how the amount of disinformation that is being told to so many people at these places almost perpetuates the lack of awareness.
It is, and the culture that's in charge of these, I feel, don't understand the what they were there for. I mean, they have their own worldview, which is fine, but I think the worldviews of these ancient Egyptians were far more different than the worldviews of the people living there today, and it's all good. But we're bringing in a whole different understanding and maybe more connected to what these ancients were originally trying to do.
Right. And I would say that the people that, as that so many people that are awake or awakening are going to Egypt now more than ever before, right? And the groups of those people going compared to people just go on vacation and see this stuff is next level intentionality again, right? Like we're going with an intention to activate, receive information and awareness, and to also help activate these ancient sites.
Right. So let me show you a little bit of orbs. That's the flower of life you're showing.
We're going to get to a siren after this.
Okay, let's see
if we can see it.
Let me email it to you. Is that the best way?
I'll talk about the siren while you email it.
Okay, talk about the siren. I'm going to email you this too.
The place that I was looking, when I went there, I saw a bunch of places that I loved, right? And I fell in love with. But if I was going to say one place that I really wanted to go to was the Temple of Sirion in Abydos, correct?
Osirion.
Yeah, Osirion. So I was interested in this one because it's the only place in ancient Egypt with the flower of life. And here we go with the number 7 again. There's actually 7 flowers of life here. And
and this is one of the oldest engravings. Actually, I think Nassim actually discovered the flower of life on the walls there.
So it was, we don't see the flower of life anywhere else in Egypt like this, in this actual depiction of the flower of life, but we see it etched in, almost like laser etched over here And I really just wanted to go and see that myself, just because of how deep I am connected to sacred geometry. And then when we're there, do you want to
Wait, what's the best way to send you an
send it
email?
to Neil Gore 11? Yeah, there we
But
go.
it's a big file. Would that get there?
It's too long. Yeah, it's not gonna work.
Okay. I'll just.
So I wanted to go check it out. And when we were there, like I always thought like all these things that are so like I guess so conscious and subconscious or oriented are so ancient, right? So I just thought like, wow, like these ancient Egyptians just like they just put on a flower of life like just randomly somewhere in Egypt just to really represent the geometry of what they knew in the most pristine form as this flower, even though they haven't put it anywhere else. And then as we were spending time with Muhammad, he said that this was actually probably put there anywhere between 200 to 400 BCE. And I was started thinking about it, and he goes that the Pythagoreans or Pythagoras himself probably put it on there, and that kind of blew my mind because yeah.
I don't know if you could believe that.
Well,
I mean, it seems a
why
little.
don't you believe that?
Well, because I think Pythagoras was 500. I think it's much older than that.
Well, no, that's what he's saying, that the Greeks did this.
Oh, really?
Because look at this compared to the art of the Egyptians, right?
So it's
And
much more
the Greeks
recent.
were there, and after Alexander the Great, and yeah, I feel like it could be more recent.
It could be. Yeah, it's not as.
I don't
it's
think
n-
the Egyptians would just put one flower of life and then not have a pristine geometry anywhere
It
else. in
could
all
be
ancient
because
Egypt.
it doesn't look Egyptian. You're right. It
Right,
could
right.
be a Greek overlay.
Because you know Pythagoras spent 20 years of his life in Egypt. The Pythagoreans continued to go there. All the Greek philosophers and scientists would go to Egypt to learn and study. And then we have the Platonic solids, which also represent the flower of life. So yeah, that was very interesting to me.
Why don't you see if you got those? Those.
Here's some more images of it.
Oh yeah, these are good. I missed that actually when I was there. It's hard to see, but they're not deeply etched in there. Can I message you these things? Will your phone take these?
You can try, but if it's a big file, I don't know if it's
Okay.
gonna work.
All right. Let
So
me try.
right next to this one was, here's another past life memory that came to me. Right next to this one was that temple that we had private meditation in for
Yeah.
the second tour, right?
Yeah.
And we did a little meditation in there. And I'm sitting in there in this meditation, it's a channeling meditation. And all of a sudden see a flash of two statues in this area. And with like, it was a woman and a man, like king and queen, with one hand on top of another hand. And then the head of the statue moved. And I had this like chills go over my body through that meditation. And it was just a really, tangible experience for me. And that was just Egypt in general had a lot of visions come to me. And I'm not really a person that gets visions and sees things and sees past life information. And it wasn't happening all the time, but there were specific areas. In Karnak, I had this awareness of the times that I spent there with Joan. In this place, I had an awareness of the times I spent with my friend Eugenia. And then in the King's Chamber, Alan was speaking about how we felt right at home there. And let's just put on an image of the King's Chamber as we speak about it, or the Grand Gallery here. When I was in this place, I was only going to go for the first 2 hours. That was what I originally thought I would do. And when we're in there, I just felt like I couldn't leave. I didn't want to go. 2 hours later, I was going to stay for the second tour anyway, second group, and JJ and Desiree Hertak asked me to stay and help facilitate the second one. And I just didn't want to leave anyway. I just felt like I was at home, kind of like what Alan said. The chants that we did with the Hertaks, they were really beautiful at all the locations you went to because of their awareness of ancient Egypt. We were using specific chants and tones that were designed, I feel, to activate specific areas of not only our consciousness, but where we were at. So for the first 2 hours, there's a lot of chanting. For the second 2 hours, there we go again, chanting, but this time the security's not there. So we're going all out, full on chants, right? And it was just like, whoa, so incredibly powerful. Being in the sarcophagus and having all the sounds vibrate all over me. After the third hour of me being in there, I could no longer chant. I've been chanting for like 3 hours, right? So I decided, hey, I'm just gonna stop chanting and I'm gonna receive. When I stopped chanting and started receiving, my skin, I could feel it vibrating I was getting into a lucid world, and that's when I saw the dragon in my mind's eye come from the top of the pyramid and blow fire right into my third eye.
Really? I
And
didn't
that
know
was
that. That's
You've been
amazing.
busy, Alan. You've been too busy
I
to talk
know,
to
but
me.
I know I haven't been too busy to talk to you, but no, I didn't realize that
Yeah.
happened to you. This is the Queen's Chamber, isn't this? What is this we're looking at
Is
here?
it in the this is not the gallery.
Oh, no, that is that the Grand Gallery? Oh, yeah, maybe that is a look. I
I
don't
think
know.
yeah, that's looking up in the Grand Gallery, not the stairs.
Oh, yeah, Grand Gallery is
Yeah.
fantastic. I sent you something on WhatsApp. Let's see.
Okay, well that's on my phone.
Oh, can you transfer your phone to
No,
your
I can't.
computer?
No,
You can't
I don't
send
have
a,
an Apple, so I can't do it.
you
like
can't
that.
send a file
No.
to, can you email a file to yourself? No.
No, I can't. We'll just do it on round two.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll do round two because the orbs in some of these places have
We got a
incredible.
lot of cool stuff to show everyone.
Mm.
I think should we close it out with just going through these images and we can kind of just talk about them?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's take a look at the chat first and see how everybody's doing in the chat room here.
Well, hopefully people will join us next year, right?
Yeah, I showed
How many people we have on?
we got 50 people
Oh,
tuning in.
nice. Well, it's if you want to activate the old DNA within the cellular structure that is waiting to energetically hook into the times we're coming into the vibrational shift, this is a great place to do it. It was built for that. These temples were built for that.
This is how it all began.
That's a cute picture.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And what else we got? Oh, there's the pyramids. There's Isis, the winged pharaoh. There's Desiree and JJ, the leaders of our trip. This is the temple at Saqqara. These are the sound chambers here. If you stick your head through one of these windows, you start to hear the kind of deep resonance of the earth of these little chambers. This JJ, because when you open the flaps in the ceiling, these light beams come right in. It's fantastic to see how the light is so highlighted in the darkness of these temples. So they're lighting up these sometimes limestone blocks as well. Tutankhamun, I don't know where that was, but oh, this is probably the Egyptian Museum. These are some of the finer, well intact statues here of the pharaoh. I mean, the pharaoh, that beard on the pharaoh was a sign of wisdom. But the Egyptians actually didn't have much hair on their body. You never see Egyptians with hair. If there's hair on even on the face besides the beard, it's usually a Babylonian or somebody else. Occasionally you see that, but mostly you don't. Egyptians were very clean. Now the sculpture of those fingers, it's raised relief, which means they have to cut away all the stone to get those fingers coming up there. So there's blocks, and I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they did it with fine precision. Look at the fingernails on this. Look at that kind of mudra, that like hand position where the fingers overlap each other. 4, 5. That was interesting. Those thumbs are very long. This is another limestone wall here.
So let's take a moment here and talk about the difference between limestone and sandstone and what your thoughts are on what Muhammad said, because he was saying that sandstone absorbs negative energy, limestone emanates it. So when we were actually chanting, another video I have that's an epic chanting video that I'll show you next time. When we were chanting in the sandstone place, he said that these walls, the sandstone, has been holding on to this energy, negative energy, for a long time, that when you chant, you vibrate that energy out, that the limestone are the places to chant, the sandstone are the ones to be silent in.
Right, and then you have the granite, which actually has silicon quartz in that granite, so they hold the vibration even longer. That's why the really ancient megalithic civilizations worked with granite, and that's why it's still powerful there. Where are we here?
This is the
Serapeum.
This is my this is probably one of my favorites.
That's a strange place.
This is the one we just like, what is this?
Nobody knows. Even the Egyptian scholars have no idea what these big sort of sarcophaguses of hundreds of tons.
Have you heard, what do you think of Muhammad's theory? Had you heard that before?
What was his theory?
That these are all batteries. The bigger they are, the bigger the battery.
Well, how do they work? What's the functionality? It could be, but
it was almost like a grid line where energy from different sites would be sent to here, and this was the storage of these batteries.
Well, it's good to say, but what's the
It looks like
technology?
they could be like a teleportation
Yeah,
device.
well, I
when you
think
go in those
that's more
things.
to the truth, that there's some kind of dimensional doorways that are happening with these heavy stones. Just like dolmens, if you lay a lot of heavy stones, it imbalances the gravitational space-time field, and you could do things you can't do without that
Are you
vibration.
familiar with the Bosnian pyramid tunnel complex, the tunnel?
Yeah, I'm
You know how
familiar.
people get healing
I've
from
heard
going in
that.
there?
I've heard.
And because of its location underground and the radiations and frequencies from space that don't affect you, it has this rejuvenation feel of your body. So since we're underground here and these structures in there, it could also be maybe some sort of rejuvenation device.
It could be. I think it is a time travel. I think there was a lot more there when I remote viewed that. I get there was a lot more there than just these empty tunnels. There were maybe vegetation, or there were certain lights. There was a lot more to these tombs. And we're just seeing the skeleton of what was once there. So you have to remote view into the past, and I'll do that in one of my remote viewing classes. That was a nice trip on the Nile there.
But that was a different boat, right? Oh wait,
Yeah.
no, this is one of this is a different
the
boat.
little feluccas
Someone-
to the Isis Island, and there's yeah, you can get a donkey and camel ride. That's Saqqara in the background. I just heard a theory of Saqqara that was built by Hotep, who was really Joseph in the Old Testament. Now, I don't know. I just heard that theory. Here's like little
It's a bed of ankhs right there.
bed of aunts, and there's sort of like a pipe or something being given to this
or-
Horus
or-
figure.
Hmm.
Now, Horus was the immaculate conceived, in a way, savior to the Egyptian civilization. I mean, in later mythologies of the Egyptian.
So virgin birth, is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, it was a virgin birth
So
because
the
there was
original
no.
Christ story.
Yeah, it was. There was no Osiris had been chopped up into pieces. Isis, the mother, laid on top of the dead body of Osiris, and she was impregnated with the Osirian energy and gave birth to this Horus child, immaculate child. There's some old cats from the ancient times.
And some that was an elephantine, I think.
Oh, is that elephantine?
Yeah,
Okay.
what did I say?
Not, yeah, that was okay. Where is that? Oh, is that coming into the pyramid?
No, this is not the Great Pyramid. This
It's
I don't know
another
which one that is.
structure. Oh, look at this. Now, this
Dendara.
is the light bulbs of Dendora. Now, you see these like structures that are holding up the light bulb, some kind of transistor type of energy, but these snakes inside the sphere, some people call the Dendora light bulb, which is how these inside of these tombs were illuminated. There's no torch marks. There's nothing. They weren't burning things to light up the inside of it. They had a technology to illuminate these deep tunnels.
What was Muhammad's take on this? Did you get to hear?
I think he does agree with the light bulb theory.
So releasing in 2 days on our YouTube a 30-minute video by William Henry specifically just on this. And so he has a theory that it was some plasma generating device.
Well, it's definitely an illumination device. And because that's the only explanation. What is this?
I don't know, but that's the Nile River right there,
Yeah, that
right?
could have been the Temple of Isis or something.
Yeah.
That's coming. Oh, yeah, that's a beautiful picture there. That looks like another Temple of Isis, where Isis and Horus are gathering. And it's too bad it's been defaced so much, because the beauty and the colors, these were vibrant living temples. Like here's another one. This guy's like sort of holding some kind of jar container. I mean, there's so much there. This is some of the paint that's like 3,000 years old. That paint.
What was the tomb that we went to in the Valley of Kings in the second tour?
I think it was
private
tomb
one?
of Ramses the IV or something. But
Let's see, I think I have-
the Egyptian
Yeah, it
Book
was
of the
Ramses.
Dead, which is the passage into the underworld, which parallels the Tibetan Book of the Dead, was written all over the walls there. So there's so much, Egypt, at least 5,000 or more. I mean, to trace the history of all of that, and the rulers, and the build of the
And the
civilization,
rebuilding and the reconstructing of
and
everything.
the collapse of civilization.
And they're still reconstructing it today.
Oh, there's so much they haven't even found there yet.
Oh, yeah.
These are some of the felucas. The Nile is still the main thoroughfare of trade, of business on the Nile. It's just fantastic to be in these temples that are still standing. There's Isis and Pam and Luxor. You know the name, the word luxury comes from Luxor. Did you know that?
No, are you serious?
Mohammed said that on the trip.
Wow.
Because
Well,
it was so luxurious, Luxor, that luxury.
whoa.
Yes.
Well, I really like the fact that chemistry and alchemy comes from Kemet.
Chem.
Yeah,
The-
chem.
You know, chem is the black dirt,
Right.
the fertile dirt of the Nile. Well, there I am on top of
There
the
you
hill.
are.
Oh, I remember that. This is at the third pyramid, the third largest pyramid on the Giza Plateau. That's interesting. That's like a disc kind of floating in there. That's a great picture.
That is a good one.
Yeah, no, there's
Wow.
so many great things here. I'm gonna.
Well, there's a star here too.
Oh yeah, there's a star. And look at the line. It's not a straight line, but it's a line of energy that goes from that star up into that orb.
Hmm.
Oh, thank you for that one. What is that? That is like somebody's desk in an office. The sunset on the Nile.
This is no, that's okay. No, that was the. Here we go. This is when we first arrived. This is when we got to the hotel.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mega spectacular to see these pyramids and
What do you think these are used for, Alan?
what are these?
No, the pyramids. Let's talk about
Well,
that for a
the
second.
pyramids were interdimensional chambers. When you're laying in the sarcophagus, it's like you're actually accessing some out of body facility in you. It's like you can just sort of lift up. I think it needs the capstone, the gold capstone. Some people say it never existed. I say it did. It existed. It was taken. So it would deactivate the power of the pyramid. And of course, you know, the word pyramid means fire in the middle, pyra, Midian. It was a Greek word for these structures. And the ancient Egyptians didn't know who built the Great Pyramids. They were there, like the Sphinx, which was originally the head of a lioness. And so they probably Atlantean structures.
Yeah, and so definitely healing devices, because I felt healing being there, right?
Yeah.
Communication to different beings.
Astral projection.
Right? Astral projection.
Yeah.
Power generating devices.
Yeah, I think they do generate.
What about the concept that we were falling into lower frequencies as we were falling from grace, and there were energy generating devices to keep the Earth's frequency at a certain level, trying to stop us from losing specific types of awareness.
Well, that's one theory. I think they
because there's a worldwide pyramid grid, almost like a grid around the Earth.
I know, and that's so interesting. And there's actually pyramids on Mars.
Yeah.
You know, so it may be a kind of interdimensional, interplanetary device that is like the secret to, you know, telecommunication. I think they were deactivated because the vibration did get lowered down, and we now are trying to build it up. So that's why we're returning to these places.
Exactly. So now here are just a series of videos of how we began the tour. This was just, now this is for this is just for fun here. And for those of you who are going to come next year with us, again, we're going to be going, I think, 3 extra days.
Yeah.
And it's going to be in November, and we start on November 11th. 11/11 is how we're going to start it out. We're going to be at the Mena House, and it starts out with a discussion, a presentation, and the next couple of videos are the room that we had the orientation in.
Call back to who you are.
This is Joan saying hi to the group. There's the group there.
And bringing it all together. So that is why.
There's Alan.
Which is why we're all here. I think we're all old initiates, right?
Absolutely.
And we come back here to continue and finish that aspect of initiation when we unite with a true divinity. And that's what these temples and places were built for. The coming together of the higher mind into the incarnational body. This is Mohammed, who led our tour. He is an Egyptian scholar. He's a brilliant person.
That's this whole Saba team there. There's his wife, the CEO of Saba Tours,
Yes.
and the rest of the crew.
we're going to be seeing this.
Okay, I'm gonna skip over these now. There's a presentation with the Hertax. So it's information, presentations, activations, meditations. There was a lot. There's a
I mean,
lot
I have a
happening.
lot more I want to show if I can get video off
Here,
my.
this is- That's us chanting Markaba.
Hmm,
I don't think we're gonna get that, Alan.
Okay.
So let me go over here to the last few videos.
Who's on? How do I get on this?
It's on my YouTube.
It's on your YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is fun to recap the
I know,
whole
huh?
thing. Yes.
We haven't had a chance to do it. Alan and I haven't seen each other since the end of Egypt.
Oh, that's
Up until
right.
this moment.
That's right.
So let's
Mm.
show you one video here, and then I'll show you a fun video afterwards, and then we'll be done.
Good thing to recap.
We have so much footage. This is not even 2%.
But we're gonna package it for
Yeah,
close
we're
attention.
gonna start releasing this in a more curated way. Do you want to read out? You said we have some good comments. Do you
Well,
want to read some?
Susie, who was on our tour, says, yes, Luxor was powerful. Muhammad taught us
Yeah.
so much. Let's see, April, Susie, you had quite the energy moving out Luxor. April, Joan is iconic. Pure embodiment. Yes, it is. Let's see who else is on here. Kira says, grand rising. So grateful to have journeyed with Neil, Alan, Dr. Hertog, and Joan. Still processing the amazing energies. What's that?
Oh, there's Nicolette too.
Oh, hi, Nicolette.
Oh, we got a lot of the crew in here.
Yes, how come the whole
Nice.
team is here? We should get everyone on a
That's what I
Zoom
said.
call.
We'll do. We should have this for whoever wants to come.
Yeah.
Whoever's a part of the tour, we should do another one
With
roundtable
them.
discussion.
Yes, yes, yes.
Showing
Let's-
their videos and images, and then having a discussion around.
Yes, yes, let's get them all on the next Zoom.
Yeah.
So we're gonna invite those people. When are we gonna do that Zoom?
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
And then, so just for those of you who weren't there and those of you who were, who want to reminisce, we also, this is how we started out the tour. This is our welcome dinner.
Great food, great people.
You guys get the idea. So it actually feels really good going over this, Alan.
It does. It's like we really did something, Neil.
Because we were so in it. We were so in this whole experience. So many things happened to us
I know.
that it just feels good to.
Well, it's nice to be
reminisce on it
back
now.
to where it's not a polluted city, but it was so much fun to be there in the old temple sites and to be part of a new legacy that's coming to
Mhm.
Egypt. I mean, people are coming to Egypt all the time, but we do have some great tour leaders, and we'll be doing,
Yeah, exactly.
some good things next year.
Yeah.
Good.
Uh-huh.
I do want to go see new places, like new temples, and we'll do that.
Yeah, and be more present, have more space at specific areas as well.
Right, right. We have to go to the temples where we could do the meditations and
Yeah.
we'll do activations there, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
gonna happen.
Mhm.
It's really fun. Good
Thank you.
job. Yeah.
This you guys are seeing this in real time. We're finally able
Yeah.
to take a moment here.
And
Good job, Alan.
reminisce about the whole thing. Thank you, Neil, Portal to Ascension fans, and stay tuned
Yeah.
for more adventures.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
and all the other stuff we'll be doing.
A lot
We
of
have
other
a lot of
stuff.
stuff. I'll be in
Mhm.
Las Vegas in November, Mexico City in December,
December 1st, we'll be Mexico City with the Hertex.
and Sedona Ascension retreats in March 8th to the 10th.
Crystal Skulls Conference, October 11th of next year.
February 11th to the 13th,
Conscious
2024,
Life Expo.
Conscious Life Expo LA.
So lots of good stuff happening.
Yes, stay
Yeah.
tuned.
And we'll, let you guys know as time progresses about the other things that are happening and when they're happening. So I'm going to show everybody a few other things on Portal
Okay.
Ascension. Do you want to stick around? Or you
No,
gonna...
I'll be right
All right,
back.
cool.
I'll
right,
make
thanks,
it
Al.
back in.
Okay, so thank you everybody for tuning in here. Now I just want to go ahead and take a moment and share a couple of streams that are coming up. For those of you who are on the Portal Ascension email list, I sent out the email today, and I'm shifting things up quite a bit now with Portal Ascension. As I shared in the beginning of this, life got turned upside down for me, pretty hardcore, and I'm having to rethink my entire life out and even where I'm going to be, live. It's a lot right now. It's kind of overwhelming. And so on the email list, we're going to be changing things up a little bit as well, and not only be sending out events, but also creating a lot of YouTube lives. So I want to share some of the YouTube lives that are coming up in the next few weeks. And then I'm going to end on just sharing about the Cosmic Dragons Conference one more time here. Okay, so the next live, and again, everybody on the YouTube, on Portal to Ascension Radio on our podcast, if you want to tune into this video and watch the images and videos that we've been showing here, please go to youtube.com/Portal to Ascension. And all of you who are on the YouTube and want a podcast to add to your list, please add the Portal to Ascension Radio podcast. We're on Amazon, Spotify, Audible, and a bunch of different places. So tomorrow, we're going to be going live again. And this one is called Demystifying Tantra, Exploring the Deeper Wisdom Beyond Misconceptions. We are facilitating a Portal to Ascension Tantra retreat in Tulum, Mexico on December 8th. It's a 5-day retreat there. And Isabel, who is the main facilitator, and I'll be also facilitating, doing some presentations on ancient India and Tantra. We're going to be creating this event together. So tomorrow we're going to start a series of online workshops, free workshops, informing people about this stuff. There's a lot of information and misconceptions when it comes to Tantra. So that is Demystifying Tantra. And you can see here, Divine Polarity will be the second one that we're going to be doing with her, which will be October 29th. These two here I want to share are 2 YouTube lives that I'm going to be doing myself. We're going to do one in about a week called Inside the Mexico UFO Hearing. Some of you might not know, but the Congress of Mexico did a hearing on the existence of extraterrestrial life and UFOs a couple of weeks ago while we're in Egypt, and I didn't get a chance to speak about it. So I'm going to go ahead and do a live on that on October 20th. And then following that on 11/3/23, November 3rd, 2023, the day before our Cosmic Dragons Conference, we're going to do an update, the UFO Truth, most recent information you need to know, okay? I have been, ever since Egypt has ended, I've been binge watching and reading all the updates on what's been going on with UFOs, the congressional hearings, the whistleblowers that were part of it, the 30 extra whistleblowers that have come out and have backed up David Grush's claims for biologics of extraterrestrial life and UFO crashes that are known about and hidden by the US government and also aerospace companies, private aerospace companies. So we're going to do a whole update on that. It's going to be extremely interesting and provide a lot of insight on what's going on in the disclosure of UFOs, but ultimately the disclosure of our connection and the existence of interdimensional extraterrestrial life. So that will be on November 3rd. And the day after that is the Cosmic Dragons Conference. This really is probably the biggest conference of the year. The dragons have been coming to me strong lately. I'm going to do probably a couple of live just speaking about the dragons, and we'll bring some of these speakers on YouTube as well and talk about it. And I had a past life regression about 3 months ago where I went to the reptilian planets, and I spent a good 2 hours on in the dragon worlds, and all this information came to me about dragons, the fertility process, incarnational cycles, how it connects to dragon energy. And then all these people just started presenting themselves in my life that were into dragons, having experience with dragons. It would just be coming up here and there and everywhere. I would be seeing signs of dragons. I would go to an event and there'd be an image of a dragon, right? Just from every level, this was happening. And I said, to myself, we got to get this information out. And I spoke to Flo Karuna from Star Codes, and he also wants to do a dragon conference. So Star Codes and Portal to Ascension are coming together, and we're creating the first ever Reverence to the Dragons conference. So stay tuned for that one. Do come check it out, guys. This is going to be beyond epic. Okay, just the energy building up for it is pretty strong. And if you want to learn more about dragons, I just released 2 articles on dragons. Okay, go to articles on portaltoascension.org. And here's one of them. This one connects to what I'm going to be presenting on, dragons and their connection to fertility. Check that one out there. And then we have one other one here, which is 13 stories of dragons in ancient civilizations. So please do go ahead and check it out. Okay. That is it from us for today, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed everything here, and it really felt good just reminisce, just to go through the experiences, because we haven't had time to integrate. We've just been on the go. So just dropping into this information and just experiencing it once again has really made me feel good, and doing it with Alan as well. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you to everybody who attended these tours and were a part of it, contributing your energy. We truly created this event together. And I hope to see some of you next year. EgyptAscensionRetreat.com if you want to take a look at that and see what's going to be happening. We'll be updating the itinerary for that one probably in a few weeks. So love you all. Thank you all so much, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye-bye.